Hello, I'm Mr. Burton, and in this video we're going to be looking at how changes in subsidies to firms in an industry can actually shift the supply curve inwards or outwards, and how this affects the market equilibrium and the market price and quantity. So subsidies is simply money given by the government to firms, and this reduces their costs. So what we have is, for example, a government might give subsidies to the electric car industry, and this is simply saying, here is a lump sum of money or money per unit of car you produce, and the firms say, great, this is reducing our cost of production, and therefore, we'll see what happens with the subsidies. So the first thing we would have a look at is subsidies rising in an industry. So let's take the example from before. Let's say that the government decides to give subsidies to the electric car industry, and this is going to reduce their costs, because all they do is they take that money from the government and they put that into their costs. They say, well, great, you're literally giving us money and this is reducing our costs. So at any given price level, let's start at the initial price level of P, at that price level, firms are now willing and able to actually provide more electric cars into the market. So at any given price level, firms can now supply more. So we see a shift from S to S1, a shift outwards. And as before in my other videos, what we see is that firms say, okay, well now at that original price level, we have an excess supply, there's too much supply in the market, so we will see a reduction in price from those firms. They pass on the cost decrease that they're getting, they pass that on to consumers in regard to a price decrease, and we actually see more quantity in the market and a cheaper price in the market if subsidies rise. That's the whole point of governments giving subsidies to firms. They usually want to see a quantity increase and a price decrease, so more consumers are actually buying this good. Let's now look at subsidies falling. So simply put, that is the government just saying, we're no longer going to give you money to actually produce these goods anymore. So maybe that could be an oil company, and to begin with, the government really wanted that industry in their economy to flourish and get bigger and to compete abroad, but now maybe this industry is big enough to not have to actually have the government subsidies anymore. So the government says, we're no longer going to give you those subsidies and we're taking them away. So the firms now have less money being given to them or no money being given to them by the government, and so their costs go up to where they were before because they use that money to artificially deflate their costs. So what we see then is firms in this industry are now unable to actually provide at any given price level the same amount as they were before. So their supply curve shifts from S into S1, shifts to the left or inwards. So at any given price level, they're now unable to provide the same quantity. So let's say supply shifts to S1. Well, now it actually costs them more at this price level to produce, so they're only actually willing to produce a quantity of this amount. So what we see is actually, simply put, they increase their prices to reflect their increase in costs from the reduction in subsidies, and we now get to a new equilibrium, P1, and because of the new price level, we actually have a decrease in quantity demanded and supplied in the market. So in this case, we could say that subsidies falling is not good for the market, for producers or consumers, because there's a higher price and there's less quantity being provided. Subsidies rising, being given to firms by government, is great because it reduces the price for consumers and it increases the quantity in the market. So it's a great way to actually increase the consumption of goods that the government might say that they're good for society. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe below and comment for any other topics you want me to cover in my next videos.